What is up, you guys? Welcome back to Me TV Reviews. I am your host, Mo, and this morning, y'all, we are going to be discussing Reasonable Doubt, y'all. That's right. This is season 3, episode 3, titled Run This Town. Okay, we ain't talking about Riri, all right? I hope you guys have had a wonderful start to your week, y'all. Without further ado, let's go ahead, get into the synopsis real quick, and then we're going to get right into the episode. So the synopsis for this one is Ozzie's behavior jeopardizes his bail. Jax uncovers a dark secret while juggling the return of a personal matter and an unexpected arrest. Bill is forced to choose between loyalty and ambition. All right, y'all. I was reading that synopsis. I was like, who got arrested? But then I remember what happened. Okay, y'all. Let's go ahead and get into it because I got to try to hurry up and get this out before work. All right, so we pick up where we left off with the last episode, and that's with Jax coming face to face with her father, okay, who she hasn't seen in 8 years. Now, of course, she's very confused and very impatient with him because why are you at my door? Why have you darkened my doorstep? She wants him to skip the small talk and the niceties, okay, and just get to the point. Why are you here? So he initially tries to invite her and Lewis down to the club because apparently he's doing some gigs and stuff down there with a band, and he's been down there for a while, okay? And so it seems like he's kind of gotten settled, and I was like, okay, if you... anyway, y'all. But then he suggests catching up over dinner because apparently the whole come down to the club and listen to me and my band play thing did not go over well. So he was like, okay, well, what about dinner then? So he can try to explain what's been going on with him. Okay, I really need to try to talk to you. I really want to make things right. I want to make up for all of the lost time that I wasn't there. And Jax just ain't trying to hear it, okay? So it sounds like he's definitely trying to make amends after he done received some life-altering type of news, but we don't know what it is for now, okay? But apparently he's been clean for 5 years, and I'm like, okay, if that's the case, where have you been? Because I can understand the 3 years where you were still trying to get it together, and maybe one extra year where, you still trying to get on a good foot. Ain't nobody perfect. Ain't nobody perfect. You could have came to me tattered and was like, hey, man, so I'm just now starting my road to recovery, but this is part of the 12 steps. I want to make amends with you. 3 or 4 years, you still could have been involved. And here you are showing up 8 years later. What other 5, man? Where are the other 5? That's all I need to know. So she tells him to rethink darkening her doorstep next time before she closes the door in his face. And she tried, y'all. She tried to be tough, but of course, when she got in the bathroom, she had to let a tear drop. I mean, she still needs her father. As much as she doesn't want to act like it, I mean, just to have that voice, especially if they're still around. And as much as she despises her mama sometimes in the decisions that she makes, she still love her mama. She gonna do what she gotta do because them her parents. But yeah, he is back and we don't know why just yet. So at work, the partners are having a meeting and they checking in on Ozzie's case. And it seems like Jax just can't get through to them. Okay, I guess he feel like maybe the rules don't apply to him. So she was telling the partners like, hey, y'all, you want to update? Oh, about that. So then we see like these clips of Ozzie getting his bail. He got his bail, thankfully. All right, he was able to get out, but the standard is usually 2 million. But because of the severity of the situation and who he is, they bumped his up to 5 million. Okay, but we posted the 5 mil. That's a lot of money, y'all. And if it's revoked, I don't think you get that money back. I know in some states you don't at all. Like, even if you do post bail, you don't get it back. So I wonder if California is one of those. But anyway, his bail was bumped up to 5 million. He posted that. He was on his way to go get him something to eat, y'all, and the paparazzi was hounding him. And this one particular dude got up in his, like, he was in the way of him closing his door with the camera. He was like, damn, what was the last words that you said to Wendy? Pow pow gotcha. I was like, you know what? That was actually really good. But he ended up mushing the camera, right? So of course that's assault. And so we see them go back to the judge. So then they put him on house arrest because maybe he didn't need to go out. Okay. So now he's on house arrest, and he must have gotten a little confused with that too, because he ended up leaving his house to go somewhere within the gated community. I ain't left the community. And they was like, nah, fool, you don't leave a house. Did they not put him on an ankle monitor? Like, what is going on here? So anyway, the judge threatens to completely revoke his bail, but Jax clearly sees that this is what Chad wants, okay? He's not going to push for the judge to revoke his bail because he wants Ozzie to stay out to try to keep humiliating him and adding to this public scrutiny of him before the case starts, which I was like, that's a pretty good idea. So Jax ends up laying out her plan to her partners to prove that somebody else capitalized on their proximity to him and his weapon and the cabin. Okay, just because all of those things were his does not mean that he did it. Somebody else in his inner circle could have done those things and just blamed him for it. So Jax has devised a plan to go ahead and get like a potential suspect list together, so she can try to see who else would have enough motive to want to take Wendy out, which it sounds like a really good plan. Now, they do stress that this is a very big case, and they want her to keep them posted on Bill's progress. And while they were talking, I do remember her saying something like when they were going to the judge about defending him as far as like his behaviors and stuff that he was doing after he had posted bail. I think she said that Bill had slipped up right there. But because it's such a big case, all eyes are on them. And they just want her to check in from time to time. Okay, now, Jax was like, huh? Eyebrow raised, because what? Now, normally that ain't what Jax do. That ain't her move. But okay, if y'all want me to check in, I'm going to check in. So she ends up getting a text from her dad reminding her that his offer still stands, right before Daniel and Crystal tell her all about the thirst traps that Ozzie been posting online. Yeah, since he been on house arrest, he been bored. He been cooped up in that house. He ain't got nothing to do. So what better distraction than to take pictures of myself, because I'm so conceited. I'm Ozzie. What's his last name, y'all? Ozzie Edwards or something like that. Yeah. So she was like, this fool, he needs a babysitter. And so she ends up asking Daniel to go over there. Now, I know you can't take his phone away, but I need you to go over there, and I need you to just kind of distract him and keep him from making any more bad choices, because this is getting worse and worse out here on social media. Y'all, they is eating him up in the comments. And so while he's there, we want you to try to get as much information as possible, not only on Ozzie, but on the family as well, because we need to start establishing other potential suspects. So we then hop over to Naima, y'all. Naima is out with her friends, and she's grabbing some food. They done did a little bit of shopping, okay, from Aeropostale. Y'all. Okay. So they doing a little shopping, her and her friends. And Naima ended up doing like a little window shopping at this particular store. She was like, oh, okay, checking out this purse. And she was like, oh, that's really cute. And her friends was like, girly pop, why don't you set your standards a little bit higher? And they looked over there at the Prada bag. And so they was like, ooh, Naima, truth or dare. But we want you to pick dare. I was like, you know what, Naima, don't fall for it. Anybody could have seen that coming a mile away. But she did it, y'all. We don't see her actually steal this bag, but just know that she stole the bag. The girls done set her up. So Jax makes it home, and she's talking to Lewis about this immense pressure that she seems to be feeling from the partners, and she can't really explain while they're doing this. It's out of character for them. I mean, yes, she is the only black woman there, and she feels like she's earned her right to be where she is and talk her shit like she does, because I'm that girl. I didn't beat the cases. So Lewis was like, "Are you sure that this isn't just from like you feeling like your dad is here? And so maybe your anxiety is a little misguided. Okay. Maybe you feeling this way because your dad is back in town and you don't know how to process that." But she refused that idea. Nope, that is not what that is. So just then, she ends up getting a call about Naima getting popped for shoplifting. So they go down there, and thankfully Jax knows the people who had popped her. They had called her and was like, "Hey girl, your daughter down here." Okay. So she gets down there and they looking at her like, "Naima, what the hell? What in the what about your friends? What in the TLC? Because where are your friends at? They're definitely not here with you." Now Naima was like, "Oh, they dared me to do it." And she was like, "Look, you are a little black girl, okay, called shoplifting. Now, this can be a learning lesson for you, or this could be the beginning of a very dark path that you start to go down. You need to make a decision about the choices that you're making, and you need to make it right now, because this is not going to end well for you. Okay, if you keep continuing to do stuff like this." So they ended up taking her, and I think they had to sign some paperwork, but I don't know if she's actually going to be charged with anything just yet. So the next day, Jackson Lewis go out to eat with her mom, and I was wondering when we were going to see her. I had just asked about her, and here she is. But y'all, they sit down to eat with the mama, and y'all mama done broke protocol because she ended up inviting Jax's dad. So mom basically admits that she was keeping Jax from the dad, okay, Jax and the grandkids, because he was suffering from addiction, which, I mean, you have to protect your family, especially when somebody is going through that, because you just never know what might happen, okay? But now that he's gotten help and he's on the road to sobriety, she actually wants him to try to make up for the time that he's lost with both her and the grandkids. Jax, that is. So Jax was like, I don't know. Now, she said her little spiel, but then he chimed in too, and he was telling her that he ain't trying to make no excuses for his behavior, but he just he wants her to give him a chance to try to be a better person. Okay. Now that he is in the right headspace, now that he is trying to do right, he just wanted to make up with the time that he lost. So we'll see. It is seeming convincing to me. So hopefully Jax gives him a chance. Now, just as they're having this conversation, she ends up getting a phone call from Daniel. Y'all, Ozzie done OD'd. Now, thankfully, Kristen had some Narcan on tap, so that brought him back to life. But according to her, he had just smoked some weed, okay? And he had smoked his weed. He had turned on his 90s, 2000s tunes. He was singing the thong song and was having a good one-man party at his house all by himself. Okay. Now, Daniel had come over there, and he had started talking to Kristen, and they were vibing. He was telling her how he does horology, or he likes to study horology, which I guess is basically like taking apart watches and then putting them back together. Apparently he did this with his granddad back in Korea. His granddad had owned a watch shop, and so oftentimes when he would go down there, he would his granddad would take the watch apart, and he would make Daniel reassemble it. So it was a very cute time. He values his grandfather and all of the things that he instilled in him. So it's a little different for Kristen, but I mean, he's cute, a little nerdy, a little geeky, but that's just a part alley. So Jax rushes over to meet the rest of the family, and it turns out, y'all, that this ain't the first time that he done had issues with drugs. Now, Ozzie has been battling addiction for a really long time, as long as anybody could remember in his family, which is very unfortunate because y'all still ain't got him no help. So it rings true for a lot of child stars, unfortunately, because they have to cope with the sudden fame and all the parties and the people who want to take advantage of you, because you're easily manipulated at this point because you're very young and naive, right? So anywho, they were saying how he had been battling addiction for as long as they could remember. So they ended up inviting his doctor over to give him a good once over to make sure that he's okay. And Jax was like, are y'all taking the same drugs that he's taking? Because this man clearly needs to go to the hospital. He damn near died a second ago. But they figured they don't need the added press right now. This definitely won't look good for him in the public's eye. He's already been scrutinized enough before the case even starts. So yeah, no, we're not taking him to no doctor. And so as they're having that conversation, y'all, Daniel noticed that Kristen had sneaked away to flush the pills that she had got for Ozzie. And so he was like, did you just do what I think you just did? And so she was like, yeah, in her eyes, Ozzie was gonna do it anyway. If Ozzie want pills or whatever, he gonna do that. He gonna get them either way. So she figured that if she got them from somebody that she trusted, then it wouldn't be so bad. But I was like, clearly you need to part ways with your dealer too, because he had laced whatever you was gonna get within them. But at least she had Narcan at the ready. That's what she say. At least he didn't die. At least I did my job. And I was like, y'all are a very piss poor excuse for a family. I just put the man in a rehab. Put him in a rehab and make him get clean. So the next day, Daniel opens up to Crystal about liking a girl who lives in his building, and she's super pretty, she's very smart, but she can be kind of rude sometimes. So he don't know how to approach it, and Crystal was like, oh, okay. Now he was looking for Jax, but Jax was in this meeting. Okay, she's in yet another meeting with the partners, and they decide to do a roundtable review of all the cases. And so they end up asking her for another update. Now, I don't know why they keep trying Jax like this. I'm getting sick and tired of it. But this time she requested, this time they had asked her, she had told them that she wanted to give one of the partners the report in private because it concerned a medical matter. And so one of the dudes was like, oh, well, you can just tell us right here because, whatever you can say in private, you can say out loud. We're all partners here. And she was like, actually, no, I can't. This is not finna be just your regular fodder at your local country club golf course, okay? This is a human being, and he's going through something very serious, and I'm not finna make fun of it. I'm not finna make this a laughing matter. So whatever you need to see in the report, whatever you want to know about what's going on with Ozzie, you can look that up in the report, because I'm not finna say it in front of all of these people. And so Kathy, who had said something the last time to her, she ended up asking her, who the fuck do you think you are? I'm sorry, y'all, that's how she said it. Who do you think you are? And Jax was like, I'm sorry, who do you think you're talking to? Because I'm definitely your superior, ma'am. And she was like, look, just because you black don't mean that you can do and say whatever you want to do. You still have to report to somebody here. And she was like, yeah, but it ain't to you. And so one of the partners made her apologize to Jax, and then he quickly showed her behind to HR. Now, we do find out that she did get fired. She deserved that, okay? But it took everything in Jax not to hop across the table. Because, girl, what? So then, later on that day, two of the partners that she embarrassed met with Bill, right? To try to offer him An easier proposition. See, they got something coming down the pipe soon, and Jax feels like something is finna get ready to happen. She was telling Lewis that, but she just can't put her finger on it, right? So they tell him, hey, we got something in the works, and the outcome of that may hinge on the success of this case. So they want to know what Jax is up to. Now, technically, this is just like some manipulation tactics, and I think it's just to get Jax gone. Because typically they tell him that Jax pretty well keeps things under wraps. She keeps things under wraps pretty well when she's into one of these bigger cases, these, more high profile cases. And so it's sort of like a guessing game with her until they get to the final conclusion. But because he's there, maybe he can get them some intel. And so he was like, it sounds like y'all want me to snitch on her. He was like, I mean, no, that's not what we saying. Okay. That's not what we saying. But if you want to become partner, this might fast track that. I mean, think about it. Corey Cash ain't here no more. You saw him the day he left. So clearly the problem isn't them, it's her. We need to get to what's going on with Jax. And you might just be the guy to help us get to the bottom of it. And so he looks real apprehensive about it. He looked real hesitant. But, I mean, you telling me that I might get partners. So he's found himself in quite the conundrum. What you gonna do? What you gonna do, Bill? He is a man of honor. He has some sort of integrity. So after they left, y'all, he pushed his plate on the way. He didn't want nothing else to do with it. Now, I will say, though, them offering him this proposition might be just what he needed, because earlier in the episode, we saw him pull up to what looks to be maybe his ex-wife now, or his wife. I don't know if they've gotten divorced or not, but his wife's house. Now, he tried to call her and she screened his call. He actively saw her do it. So then after this meeting with them, he goes back over there, and she done came home that night, and he tries to meet her before she gets to the door, because obviously she's not picking up the phone for him. So he was like, Kendra, hey, I just want to have a conversation with you real quick. And she was like, hell nah, Bill. I done told you not to show up to my door. Okay. I done told you not to come over here. So I don't know if, it's a restraining order involved or what have you. I don't know what's going on there, but it looks real contentious. So he was like, look, if you're not gonna talk to me, at least let me see the kids. Again, she told him to go back to his car. I'm not gonna play this game with you, Bill. And she slammed the door in his face, y'all. So I don't know what's going on with that. Now, Jax did end up meeting up with before he had left the office, he had talked to Jax. And she was wondering, what am I still doing here? Maybe it's the therapy that's working on me, but I'm trying to figure out why so many people are trying me here all of a sudden. Why there are so many people that are trying to be disrespectful towards me in a place where I've worked so hard to earn my respect and my name. Okay, so I'm just trying to figure out what done changed. Maybe it's time for me to go ahead and get up out of here, because this ain't the move. But he was telling her, hey, you need to stay the course. You doing what you're supposed to do. It's just people don't like that because you done worked your ass off to get where you at. Now, he ends up giving us a little bit of his backstory about how he was in law school, and he was the older guy in law school. He was in his mid-30s, he wasn't hanging out with the younger crowd. He wasn't invited to the parties, none of that. So he felt kind of left out, but that ain't why we here no way. I'm here to study. I'm here to get my law degree so I can make a difference. So he was like, just stay the course, okay? You doing what you supposed to do. And so she was like, thank you, Bill. One day you might just be partner. You keep at it like this. So he ended up leaving, and that's when he went to go see his wife, Kendra. Now, after she left the office, she went to go see her dad. And, he's just thanking her for at least coming to dinner. Thank you for at least trying to hear me out. I appreciate it. And she was like, look, it's crazy that you just popped up to my door like that. You thought we was just going to kiki and have a good time and catch up. But that ain't what this is. You left me when I needed you the most. And now you back. And you want me to just take you back with open arms. And that's not how this works. So if you going to be here, I need you to commit and be here. Don't be in and out like you was last time, because I'm not that little girl anymore that's looking for that. Okay, that's not what I need from you. So if you can't be here on a full-time basis, then we don't have nothing to discuss. You can leave now and you ain't got to worry about trying to rekindle no type of relationship ever. And he was like, understood. Okay, I get that. So then she goes home. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me jump back to Lewis real quick, y'all. So Lewis had woke Naima up because she had got suspended from school for 3 days. I don't know how to, well, she had skipped school. I was like, I don't know how the school got involved in this. But she had skipped school when she was doing the shoplifting thing, so she's suspended now. So Lewis wakes her up to take her to the office to do a little bit of detailing at the office because you still on punishment, my girl. So at the office, she's telling him how her and Hattie ain't cool no more. And that's the only reason why she started hanging out with Brenda and Becky now. Okay? Hater 1 and Hater 2, Faker 1 and Faker 2, because Hattie done got them braces off. She done had her little glow up. She done joined the dance team or the cheerleading squad. And now she really feeling herself, right? And that's okay. But not only is she feeling herself, but what broke the camel's back was when she started lying. Okay, she was lying to me and lying on me and my family, and I don't appreciate that. So she ends up telling him that the main lie that got her was the fact that she had told her in conversation one day that Lewis had slept with her mama while him and Jax was on the break and had a baby. So technically they're like sisters. And she was like, oh, hell no. No, we not, girl. Get off my phone. We ain't friends no more. So she was like, I don't appreciate people lying on my family like that. I hate liars. And so she was like, yeah, you know, that's seriously some crazy work right there. And Lewis was speechless, y'all. He was dumbfounded. He was like, yeah, that is that is some crazy work. That is crazy. So then later on, he gets home and he's talking to Jax, and he tells Jax what happened with Naima. And she was like, what you say? And he was like, man, I didn't know what to say. He let the lie linger. And so then she talks about how she met with her dad and how she feels like he's hiding something. And so because of that, she would prefer that they be honest with the kids about Jaden. And so they agree to tell both the kids about Jaden when Spencer comes home in 2 weeks. Okay, we can't keep this cycle of secrets and lies going with our kids. We need to break the cycle and be different. No secrets. So he was like, all right, cool, whatever, you know. And then if things go left, then we'll just figure it out from there. So then she's cleaning up something, and then she gets this thought, and she calls Daniel. Now, Daniel is on his way to go do something, or maybe he's just leaving the house. I don't know where he's headed to. But, y'all, okay. Let's backtrack real quick. So after Ozzie had OD'd, I forgot to tell y'all this one particular part. So after Ozzie had OD'd, she had bought Autumn in. And Autumn, y'all remember, is one of her really good girlfriends who happens to be a therapist, a psychologist. And so she talks to Ozzie, and he ends up revealing to her that he was abused as a child. Apparently, he was sexually abused by somebody when he was 13 years old. He was abused by a woman, okay, that was in her 30s when he was only 13. And he had also been dibbling and dabbling in drugs. Now, he said that it started with caffeine, and then it went to uppers because he was going to all these parties, you know, that were inviting him to this stuff, and he wanted to be the cool person, and the guy who never said no, the guy who always was having a good time. And then he was taking downers to try to help him get to sleep because he couldn't sleep. So it's just been a never-ending cycle since he was a kid between drugs and sexual abuse, unfortunately. Now, he don't tell her who he was abused by, but she does share that information with Ozzie after the session. And so she also reveals she shares the information with Jax. And so she also shares with Jax that Ozzie feels like she is the only person that he can trust right now. He does not trust anybody in his family, just Jax and Wendy. Now, Wendy is gone. So, it's really good that he trusts Jax for now, but if the trust is broken, there's no telling how bad he may spiral. So with that being said, the fact that she told Bill at the office what happened with Ozzie is bad, because we don't know what's going to happen with Bill. Now, I forgot to mention that in that conversation that she had with Bill, and how he had shared after he had shared his story with her about how he came up in law school, she then figured that he would probably be the best person to work on the case with her. And so she officially invites him on as her second chair to help her with the case. And she discloses the information about him ODing and about him being sexually abused. And so he's got this golden information that he's holding on to. So is he going to tell the other partners so he can come up? I don't know. I feel like the partners are in cahoots with somebody over there at the DA, but we'll see. So then Jax is looking for something when she ends up having an idea, and she calls Daniel. Now, she tells Daniel that it was something to the tune of him trusting whoever this was. Oh, it was something about the drugs. She believes that he was at home that night that Wendy died. She does believe that part of his alibi. However, she believes that he was not alone. Maybe he was doing drugs with somebody else, because he had been sober for 2 years, but then all of a sudden, the night that he had the argument with Wendy, this is when he relapsed. Okay, so maybe he was there with somebody that he trusted. We don't think that it's anybody in his family. We really don't think that it's Kristen, because Kristen would have told them what she had done already, because she went ahead and confessed to Daniel when he saw her flushing the pills. So it's got to be somebody else that he trusts that we're not aware of just yet. So as she's saying that, Ozzie is at home. He's in a dead sleep when his phone rings. Y'all, it's Alex. Now, Alex is the person that he was trying to get in contact with. Was it the second episode? And so Alex is finally calling him back, and he's talking about, you need to score some more pills or something like that. He was like, nah, man, I'm done with that stuff. I told you I don't get down like that no more. Okay? But he needs him to come forward as his alibi. He was like, man, I was with you that night. And he was like, yeah, no, I'm not going to do that, because what would that make me look like? Okay? You are not at the top of the call sheet, and I'm not going to be your alibi for that night. I'm not going to do it. Pow got you. So it sounds like, maybe they were intimate partners. Maybe they were drug partners. I think if it were drugs, it wouldn't be so bad for them to come out like that, or for him to be his alibi, because they probably wouldn't get in trouble no way. So it's got to be something more intimate. But we'll see, y'all. Y'all let me know what y'all thought about it, okay? That's the way the episode ended. You can reach me at Me and You TV Reviews on Facebook and on Instagram. You can also reach me at My TV Reviews Podcast without the S on the end at gmail.com, okay? I had to improvise because my notes kept jumping all over the place and I couldn't find everything, okay? And then them last couple minutes, I ain't take no notes at all, y'all. So my apologies. I'm going to get it together next time. But yeah, y'all let me know what y'all thought about the episode. I hope you guys have a wonderful start to your week. Y'all stay safe out there. And until we meet over the airwaves again, I am Mo, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.